Once you have some definition and dimension to some of your layers, so I have some highlights and some shadows. I'm blending some colors on these different mountains. So here, what I'm going to do is now I need to clean up the edges with the eraser tool. So my edges are kind of smudgy and these mountains are very, very crisp. So in order to clean up, I'm going to press E on my keyboard, which goes to the eraser tool, which is right here. Up under the eraser tool, you're going to notice it is a brush tool. So the brackets on your keyboard next to the P will make your brush bigger or smaller. And they also, if you hold shift in the right and left bracket, it'll make your brush harder or softer. So for the edge of a mountain, I want like a very hard edge brush. You can also go up here, make it 100% hard and change the brush size here. Now, because I want it to be a sharp edge, but if you had something like the sky or clouds or something, you might need a softer edge eraser. Another eraser type is if you go into right here, mode, there's a block eraser. So it gives a lot straighter line. And if you hold shift, it goes perfectly straight. So if you need a very straight edge, you could use the block eraser. Or even with these mountains, I could use maybe a little bit of the block eraser. So I just Control Z to step back. Another trick for this is you can go into the opacity of the layer. So in the layers panel, if you go to the opacity, that's going to turn down your painting temporarily so that you can see through to the layer below. So I could see the picture layer. So now I could go in and kind of get that edge. You can see it's kind of funky. Works kind of well for mountains though. Like it kind of does this like jagged pixely type thing. But look at, I can go in and make the edges really precise. And then look, if I turn it up, it looks kind of jagged. So probably wouldn't do that for something that's more natural form. I'm gonna put it back on my brush. But see, I make my eraser nice and big, got a harder edge, but now, even though I can't even see my painting that well, I can kind of see the edge of those mountains. And I really did a rough job just as demo. I should have filled in this mountain. So we're going to use this bottom mountain range just as the example. So you can kind of, take some creative liberty. It doesn't have to look exactly like the picture. So I'm kind of, you know, making it my own. It's not going to be exact. But see, once I do that, I can turn the opacity back up. And now I have this really nice, clean edge. So I often turn off my background layer, just clicking on the eye icon, so I can like see what my painting is looking like without the background. Here's a trick too. If you have a really large area, you can make your brush like really big. If you're getting a lot of those little denty things, look, I can make my brush really big and make it nice and smooth. For something a little softer, like sometimes I'll just turn down the hardness a little, like to maybe 80% or something, and it makes it just a tiny bit fuzzy. Kind of have to play with that fuzziness though. Like I don't want the mountain edges to be too fuzzy. Smoothing. I'm just curious to see what that does. Because the edge was a little bit spotty when I go. Oh yeah, smoothing helps because I got a lot of those little divots there. The smoothing helped to take that away when I did that. So be sure to check out the smoothing if yours is looking kind of like repetitive and round there. Yeah, that's much better. So you're just cleaning up the edges of each layer and the shapes of things on each layer. So now I'm going to go to my other layers and do the same. So like this mountain, I could do the same thing. I could go in and I have to click on it. I can turn the opacity down to kind of see and like see all this stuff. I can make it more jagged and go in and clean that up. I could switch to my block eraser if I have a lot of straighter areas. The brush tool though will also, if you hold shift, it will go nice and straight too. So the nice thing about organic things in nature are, the edges and stuff aren't going to be really precise. It doesn't really matter if you are. So now the edge of that. So you're just going to go into each one and kind of clean them up. And I'm often going back and forth to kind of turn off the layer behind to see how it's all adding up.